Paige had always known Rhonda was a place of edges, cliffs plunging into the Guadalajara Gorge, bridges defying gravity, histories layered like the dust on their suitcases since the family uprooted from Seattle 2 summers ago. Her dad, a history professor chasing tenure through dusty archives, had called it an adventure. Mom's ashes, scattered in the Puget Sound back home, made every sunset here feel like a borrowed mercy. But for Paige, at 17, it was just another stage for Sienna's spotlight. Sienna, 19 and golden, was the sun around which their fractured family orbited. With her straight-A transfer credits from some Ivy feeder back stateside and her effortless command of broken Spanish that charmed every local vendor, she was the one Dad bragged about in Zoom calls with colleagues. "My girl's conquering Europe," he'd say, while Paige faded into the background, sketching wildflowers in her notebook or wandering the Mercado alone, her heart a quiet storm she hid behind hoodies and headphones. They weren't always like this. Back in Seattle, before Mom's cancer hollowed them out, Sienna had been the big sister who braided Paige's hair during thunderstorms and whispered secrets under the covers about crushes on boys from youth group. But grief sharpened edges, and privilege, Sienna's unspoken armor of beauty and poise, turned empathy into envy. When Paige came out to her in a tear-streaked whisper last spring, huddled in the villa's courtyard amid jasmine vines, Sienna had hugged her tight. "I got you, kiddo. Always." The promise sealed with a pinky swear, childish and sacred. Now, as the sisters stormed back toward their rented stone house on Calle Santa Maria, the air thick with the sizzle of chorizo from street carts, Paige's chest heaved like the gorge winds. "Why, Sienna? What did I ever do to you besides exist?" Sienna didn't turn, her heels clicking like accusations. "You think this is about you?" "God, Paige, grow up. It's about survival. Dad's finally noticing me, really seeing me, after you pulled your little drama at that party." The party. It had been nothing, a cluster of expat teens at a finca outside town, guitars strumming flamenco riffs under starlit skies. Paige had gone because Elena invited her. Elena Vargas, 18, with olive skin that glowed like the lantern strung between olive trees, and dark curls that framed eyes sharp as the Sierra Peaks. Daughter of a local artist, Elena had a laugh that cut through the noise, easy and unforced, the kind Paige had only read about in dog-eared paperbacks smuggled from the Seattle library. They'd met weeks earlier at the Sunday market, Paige fumbling with euros for fresh figs while Elena haggled over ceramics. "You're American, see? But you look like you belong here," Elena had said, her accent wrapping around the words like a serape. Paige blushed, mumbling about her sketches, and somehow, invitations followed: coffee at a plaza cafe, a hike along the goat paths where wild thyme scented the air. Elena's hand brushing Paige's as they shared a water bottle, electric, unspoken. For the first time since Mom, Paige felt seen, not as the shadow sister, but as herself, freckled, awkward, alive. At the party, it culminated in a stolen moment behind the stone wall, Elena's lips tentative against Paige's under the moon's indifferent gaze. No fireworks, just a quiet bloom, like the first rain after drought. But Sienna had seen. Sienna, who arrived late with her posse of polished exchange students, nursing a sangria and scanning for social currency. By morning, whispers slithered through the group chat: Paige and Elena kissing. Wait, she's... Sienna's betrayal wasn't a leak, it was a flood. She'd cornered Paige that afternoon in their shared room, the one with the creaky balcony overlooking the bridge. "You're gonna ruin everything," she'd hissed, scrolling through her phone like a prosecutor. "Dad's up for that fellowship, the one that gets us back home with real money. You think he'll want his department head knowing his daughter's at the freak show?" I told a couple people. Just to shut it down. Paige's world splintered. "You outed me. To humiliate me. For what? Likes on Instagram." Sienna's laugh was brittle, a porcelain crack. "It's not humiliation, it's reality. Grow a spine, Paige. Or stay invisible forever." That evening, as they crossed the Puente Nuevo, Rhonda's iconic bridge spanning the abyss, Paige lagged behind, the drop below mirroring the void in her gut. Dad was at a lecture in Malaga, oblivious, leaving the sisters to their simmering war. Elena's texts had gone silent after the party fallout, the expat grapevine a venomous vine. Paige's sketches, once vibrant with Elena's profile amid sunflowers, now lay smudged and abandoned. But Rhonda had a way of pulling you back, its narrow alleys whispering resilience. The next morning, Paige slipped out early, boots crunching on gravel paths toward the countryside. She needed air, space from Sienna's perfume-scented barbs. The trail wound past cork oaks and wild lavender, leading to a forgotten mirador overlooking the valley. There, sketching the mist-shrouded cliffs, she heard footsteps, soft, deliberate. Erie's too, Paige. Elena's voice, laced with hesitation, like a melody half-remembered. Paige froze, charcoal smudging her fingers black as her fears. Elena emerged from the path, backpack slung low, her curls tied back with a scarf the color of ripe figs. At 18, she carried the easy grace of someone who'd grown up climbing these hills, her brown eyes holding stories of family fiestas and quiet rebellions against small-town eyes. I didn't think you'd want to see me, Paige stammered, tucking her sketchbook away. After what happened? Elena's brow furrowed, a shadow crossing her sun-kissed face. What happened? You mean the whispers? Mi amor, Rhonda is small, but hearts are big. My abuela says gossip is like wind, it passes, but what you plant grows. They sat on a weathered bench, the gorge humming below like a distant lullaby. Elena shared figs from her pack, sticky sweet, and talked of her own hidden layers, a mother who painted nudes in secret, a father who fixed clocks but dreamed of symphonies. I like you, Paige. Because you see things, the way light hits the stones, the stories in silence. Not because of labels. Paige's throat tightened, tears pricking like thorns. For the first time, vulnerability felt like strength. They talked until the sun climbed high, hands linking tentatively, fingers tracing patterns in the dust. It was romance in whispers, a slow unfurling amid the wildflowers. Back home, Sienna waited like a storm cloud. Dad had returned, jet-lagged and jovial, praising Sienna's latest essay on Moorish architecture. Dinner was paella under the courtyard lanterns, saffron threads glowing like false gold. Paige picked at her plate, Elena's warmth a secret ember against the chill. So, Paige, Sienna drawled, swirling her wine glass, pilfered from Dad's stash, how was your little hike? Meet any interesting locals? Dad chuckled, oblivious. Let her be, see. Not everyone's a social butterfly. But Paige saw the glint in Sienna's eye, the predator's patience. Later, in the dim hallway, Sienna cornered her. Saw you with her today. Cute. But careful, Dad's colleagues are in town next week. Wouldn't want more accidents. The threat landed like a stone in still water. Paige's fists clenched. This isn't a game, Sienna. It's my life. Sienna leaned in, breath minty sharp. And mine. Remember that. Nights blurred into a tense rhythm, morning sketching with Elena in hidden groves, afternoons dodging Sienna's interrogations, evenings feigning normalcy for Dad's sake. Elena became Paige's anchor, their moments stolen like contraband, sharing earbuds on a bus to Sentinel, where houses clung to rock faces like defiant lovers, picnics by the river, feet dangling in the current as Elena taught her fragments of poetry by Lorca, words of gypsy passion and forbidden fire. You're brave, you know, Elena said one twilight, as they lay on a blanket amid cork bark shavings. Coming here, carrying your storms. Me? I hide behind canvases. Paige traced the curve of Elena's jaw, heart pounding like festival drums. We both hide. But together. Maybe not. Their first real kiss came there, soft as the river's murmur, tasting of salt and promise. No drama, just depth, a quiet revolution against the world's edges. Yet Sienna's shadow lengthened. Whispers reached Dad's ears through the expat network, questions about family dynamics, sidelong glances at faculty mixers. Sienna, ever the architect, fed the flames subtly. A concerned email to a mentor, a tearful confession over coffee about Paige's struggles. It culminated at the university gala, held in Rhonda's Parador overlooking the gorge, chandeliers dripping light like molten amber. Paige had begged off, citing a headache, but Elena, invited as the daughter of a donor, texted her photos, Sienna in emerald silk, laughing with professors, her arm linked with a visiting scholar's son. "Your sister's a star," the caption read. Paige's stomach twisted. Then, the call came at midnight. Elena, voice trembling, "Paige, something's wrong." Sienna. She told them. About us. Said it was a phase, but to watch out for you. The whole room knows now. Betrayal crashed like a wave over cliffs. Paige bolted from the villa, sneakers slapping stones, the bridge a blur of moonlight and malice. She found Sienna on the balcony, scrolling feeds, oblivious until Paige's sobs shattered the night. "You destroyed it." "For what?" "To shine brighter." Sienna turned, face paling. "I had to protect us. Dad's career." "Us?" "This is you protecting your ego." Paige's voice broke, the gorge wind carrying her pain. "Mom would hate this. She'd hate what you've become." Sienna recoiled, but her eyes hardened. "Mom's gone. And you're not her." The words hung, a final fracture. Paige fled into the alleys, heart a wild thing, toward Elena's waiting arms. But dawn brought no solace, only the inexorable pull of confrontation. Rhonda's mornings carried a deceptive serenity, the sun gilding the Puente Nuevo like a promise unkept. Paige woke in Elena's narrow bed, the artist's studio apartment cluttered with half-finished oils and the faint scent of turpentine and thyme tea. Elena's mother, Sophia, had welcomed her with a quiet nod, no questions, just a blanket and a mug, her painter's eyes seeing fractures others missed. But sleep evaded Paige, her mind replaying Sienna's barb like a looped reel, "You're not her." By noon, the studio buzzed with purpose. Sophia, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked curls and hands stained eternally indigo, set up easels for a community workshop. "Art heals what words wound," she told Paige, pressing a brush into her palm. Elena, ever the bridge, translated the nuances, her presence a steady hum. They painted the gorge that day, Paige's strokes tentative, greens bleeding into blues like unspoken fears. Elena's canvas bloomed bold, cliffs cradling a hidden cove, lovers etched in shadow. "See," she whispered, leaning close. "Even in the fall, there's holding." Gratitude swelled in Paige, mingled with guilt. Elena deserved more than borrowed time, a girl pieced from Seattle rain and Spanish sun. Yet in stolen glances over palettes, Paige glimpsed a future, cafes in Madrid, sketches turned stories, hands intertwined without shame. Word of the gala scandal rippled outward, a stone skipped across the expat pond. Dad's phone rang incessantly, colleagues couching concern and politeness, whispers of distractions, tainting his fellowship bid. He confronted Sienna over breakfast, his voice a rare thunder. "What the hell, see? Spreading rumors about your sister? This isn't us." Sienna crumbled artfully, tears glistening like dew on her lashes. "I was scared, Dad. Paige. She's different. And with that local girl. People talk. I thought if I got ahead of it." Ahead of it. Dad's face reddened, the vein in his temple pulsing like the river below. "You outed her. Like it was your story to tell." Paige, eavesdropping from the stairwell, felt a flicker of vindication, then pity. Sienna, the invincible, reduced to a child fumbling for absolution. But the damage etched deep. Elena's family fielded calls from conservative cousins, Sophia's gallery show threatened by boycotts from pious patrons. "It's not fair," Elena vented later, pacing the studio. "Rhonda loves its secrets, but hates its truths." Paige pulled her close, their foreheads touching like puzzle pieces. "We'll fight it. Together." Their rebellion took shape in small acts, a joint mural on the studio wall, Paige's wildflowers entwining Elena's abstract flames, anonymous posts on the Expat forum, sharing stories of queer resilience from Lorca's era to now. Elena's poetry, once private, found voice in open mics at the local bar, verses of bridges crossed and chasms leaped. Paige read alongside her one night, her voice steady for the first time, a piece about sisters, not as anchors but as storms navigated. Sienna watched from afar, her social world dimming. Invites dried up, her Instagram likes hollowed by blocks. Dad, sensing the rot, mandated family therapy via Zoom with a Seattle counselor versed in expat grief. Sessions were excruciating, Sienna deflecting with charm, Dad unpacking his survivor's guilt, Paige silent until pressed. It's not just about Mom, she finally erupted in one call, pixels blurring her tears. It's about us choosing each other. Or not. The counselor's prompt hung, what do you need, Sienna, to feel enough without diminishing Paige? Sienna logged off early, claiming a headache. But cracks showed, in late-night texts to Paige, aborted apologies deleted unread, in her sudden interest in Sophia's workshops, lingering at the studio door with feigned curiosity. High tide came mid-July, during the feria, the town's feverish festival of lights, parades, and unspoken vendettas. Rhonda transformed, streets awash in flamenco skirts and flower crowns, the air electric with castanets and cologne. Dad, ever the academic, dragged them to the bullring for a cultural immersion, though Paige saw the strain in his forced smiles. Elena met them there, radiant in a red bata de cola borrowed from Sophia, her curls pinned with carnations. Paige, in a simple sundress thrift found in town, felt underdressed but anchored by Elena's wink. They danced in the plaza, hands clasped amid swirling couples, the guitar's wail mirroring their pulse. For hours, the world narrowed to rhythm and gaze, no sisters, no scandals, just two girls rewriting the night. Sienna appeared like a specter, arm in arm with Javier, the scholar's son, a match brokered for optics. Her dress shimmered peacock blue, but her smile faltered at the sight of Paige and Elena, twirling free. Having fun, little sis, she called, voice syrup over shards. Paige paused, sweat-dampened hair curling at her neck. More than you know. Javier, oblivious, pulled Sienna to dance, but she resisted, eyes locked on Paige. Later, as fireworks cracked the sky, bursts of crimson and gold painting the cliffs, Sienna cornered her near the gorge's edge, the crowd's roar a distant hum. You're really doing this? Parading it? Sienna's whisper cut sharper than confetti. Paige's laugh was weary. It's not a parade, Sienna. It's living. What you're doing. That's the cage. Sienna's facade splintered, her voice dropping to a plea. I didn't mean. Dad's pulling the fellowship. Because of you. Of this. Of me being honest. Or you being cruel. Paige stepped back, the railing cool under her palms. Below, the gorge yawned, indifferent. Sienna's hand shot out, gripping Paige's wrist, not violent, but desperate. Please. Just. Tone it down. For family. The touch ignited memory, little hands linking on Seattle swings, promises pinky sworn. Paige wrenched free, not with anger, but sorrow. Family doesn't tone down love. It amplifies it. Fireworks peaked, illuminating Sienna's face, streaked, vulnerable, a girl lost in her own privilege. She turned away, vanishing into the throng, leaving Paige breathless. Elena found her minutes later, concern etching her brow. What happened? Paige leaned into her, the scent of jasmine and gunpowder mingling. A ghost. But maybe. One that can change. The feria's afterglow faded into August's haze, tension simmering like gazpacho left too long. Dad confronted Sienna privately, his voice carrying through paper-thin walls, ultimatums about accountability, threats of returning stateside alone if she didn't mend fences. Sienna's rebellion peaked in slammed doors and skipped meals, her once golden aura tarnished. Paige, meanwhile, deepened with Elena. They volunteered at Sophia's community center, teaching art to local kids, many queer or questioning, eyes lighting like lanterns at tales of visibility. One boy, Miguel, 12 and timid, clutched Paige's sketch after sharing his own drawing of two boys holding hands. "Is it bad?" he asked. Paige knelt, heart full. "It's brave. And that's everything." Elena's pride shone, their evenings now rituals, rooftop dinners of tortilla and stories, stars wheeling overhead like conspirators. Intimacy grew not in grand gestures but quiet truths, Paige confessing mom's last words, "Be unapologetic," Elena revealing a scar from a homophobic slur carved in playground sand. Yet betrayal's echo lingered. Sienna's final strike came subtly, a poisoned arrow, an anonymous tip to the expat school board, framing Paige's influence on Elena as disruptive. Sophia's workshop faced cancellation, Elena's university dreams in Granada jeopardized by moral concerns. Rage propelled Paige to the villa that night, storming Sienna's room. Posters of Parisian cafes mocked from the walls, her sister's form huddled on the bed, laptop glowing accusations. "It was you," Paige accused, door slamming like judgment. "The tip. Admit it." Sienna's eyes, red-rimmed, met hers. "No denial, just defeat. I thought. If I pushed hard enough, you'd back off. Go back to being the good little sister." Paige's voice cracked. "There is no good little. There's just me. And you broke us." Sienna rose, trembling. "I know. God, Paige, I know. Mom dying. It took everything. I thought controlling you meant controlling the pain." The admission hung, raw as exposed stone. Paige saw her then, not villain, but vessel, cracked by the same grief. "Pain isn't controlled, Sienna. It's shared." They collapsed together, sobs sinking like rain on roofs, not forgiveness, but fractures first mend. Dawn found them talking, really talking, Sienna's fears of fading into Dad's shadow, Paige's terror of invisibility. Apologies flowed, tentative bridges over the gorge. But mending invited peril. The tips fallout crested, a town hall at the Parador, expats and locals clashing over values versus inclusion. Dad spoke haltingly, voice steadying on Paige's cue, "My daughters taught me love isn't a liability. It's the legacy." Sienna, beside him, added softly, "I was wrong. And learning." Elena and Sophia testified, canvases of unity projected on walls. Cheers erupted, tentative but true, Rhonda's heart, ancient and adaptive, stirring. Yet climax loomed, a storm front rolling from the Sierra. Dad's fellowship verdict arrived, denied, whispers citing personal distractions. Blame circled, landing heavy on family shoulders. September's equinox brought cooler winds, sweeping Rhonda's streets like a collective exhale. The Parador meeting had shifted tides, petitions circulated, Sophia's workshop revived with twice the enrollment, Elena's Granada acceptance letter arriving with a scholarship nod. For resilience, the dean wrote, a quiet victory etched in ink. Paige and Elena celebrated on the bridge at midnight, legs swinging over the void, bottles of Tinto de Verano fizzing softly. To edges crossed, Elena toasted, her free hand warm in Paige's. "To what's on the other side," Paige replied, leaning into the kiss that followed, deeper now, seasoned by trials, tasting of olives and overcoming. Home, however, teetered. Dad's denial plunged him into despondency, stacks of rejection emails mingling with Mom's photo on the mantel. "I failed you both," he confessed over dinner, fork abandoned in cooling sopa de tomate. Sienna, transformed by Summer's forge, reached across the table. "No, Dad. We failed each other. But we're fixing it." Therapy sessions evolved, no longer interrogations but excavations, Dad unpacking his academic armor, a shield against widowhood's ache, Sienna voicing the terror of unearned shine, her privilege a gilded cage. Paige mediated, her voice newfound anchor, "We're not Seattle ghosts. We're Rhonda, cliffs and all." Sienna's redemption arc unfolded in actions, not airs. She volunteered at the community center, her polished nails chipped from clay work, teaching kids basic Spanish phrases laced with empathy. Familia means chosen, too, she'd say, echoing Paige's lessons. To Elena, she extended an olive branch, a handwritten note tucked into a sketchbook. I was blind. Thank you for showing me light. Elena, generous-souled, forgave in layers. Wounds heal crooked sometimes, she told Paige. But they heal. Yet drama's final act brewed in subtlety, Sienna's secret. Months back, amid her social siege, she'd applied to a Madrid art program, forging her path beyond Dad's shadow, beyond sisterly wars. Acceptance came quietly, but doubt gnawed, leave and fracture further, or stay and stagnate. The revelation spilled during a family hike along the Camino de los Molinos, mill paths winding through chestnut groves. Leaves crunched underfoot, autumn's palette mirroring inner shifts. Sienna halted at a overlook, voice small. I'm going to Madrid. In January. Dad's face fell, a map redrawn. Alone. After everything. Paige's heart clenched, not loss, but launch. It's right, see. You deserve your own son. Tears came, group embrace amid rustling boughs. No tragedy, just transition, sisters redefined, not divided. Paige's own pivot crystallized soon after. Back in the studio, Sophia unveiled a gallery contact in Seville, interest in Paige's Gorge series, infused now with Elena's fire. Raw talent, the email read. Exhibit next spring. Elena hooped, spinning Paige in a dance that scattered brushes. Mi artista. But romance's depth tested in vulnerability's forge. One evening, as rain lashed the windows, Rhonda's rare deluge, Elena confessed fears, Granada's bustle intimidating, distance a looming thief. What if we fade, like summer light? Paige drew her close, thunder rumbling a chord. We won't. Love isn't a season, it's the soil. Their commitment sealed in promises, weekend trains, shared journals, a joint trip to Lorca's birthplace in Granada, tracing poets' paths hand in hand. Climax crested not in fury, but fusion, a winter solstice gathering at the community center, lanterns strung like stars against the chill. Expats and locals mingled, mulled wine steaming, as Paige and Sienna co-hosted a reading, Paige's prose on bridges built, Sienna's poems on shadows shed. Elena performed, guitar in lap, a ballad of two women dancing on cliffs, eyes locked on Paige, voice a vow. Dad watched, pride softening his lines. Midway, he pulled Sienna aside, whispering of a new grant, remote adjunct work, tethering him to Rhonda without chains. We're staying. Building, not fleeing. The night's crescendo, a surprise announcement. Sophia, beaming, revealed the center's expansion, funded by community donations, including Sienna's anonymous seed from her trust fund shares. For the unseen, she toasted. Cheers swelled, enveloping the sisters in a tide of belonging. Later, on the balcony under clearing skies, Sienna hugged Paige fierce. I'm sorry. For the outing, the bullying, all of it. You didn't deserve my mess. Paige held tight, forgiveness a quiet tide. And I'm sorry for resenting your light. We both dimmed too long. Sienna pulled back, eyes clear. Madrid will be my chapter. But this, us, is the book. Dawn of the new year found Paige sketching Elena by the hearth, curls haloed in firelight. Their love, once fragile bloom, rooted deep, letters exchanged like lifelines, visits weaving lives. Sienna departed in spring, train whistle a benediction, packages of sketches and poems bridging miles. Dad thrived in lectures laced with personal lore, grief's humanity his new thesis. Rhonda embraced them, its cliffs no longer chasms but cradles. Years folded like well-worn maps, Paige's exhibit a success, Elena's degree framing a life in art therapy, their shared flat in Seville a haven of canvases and coffee. Sienna visited, her Madrid studio vibrant, a niece arriving in time, Paige's goddaughter, named after Mom. In quiet moments, Paige traced the scar of that summer, not wound, but whorl, a pattern of growth. Betrayal's sting softened to wisdom, family forged in fire, love a light unquenched. Rhonda's bridge endured, spanning gorges within and without. And Paige, once shadowed, walked it unafraid, hand in Elena's, heart full, the sun rising eternal.